August 1943, 1800 hours. The dimly lit kitchen of the Nazi garrison in Obel, Belarus. Steam rises from massive pots bubbling on wood-fired stoves, carrying the heavy scent of potato soup laced with whatever scraps the occupiers could requisition from the starving locals. Zinaida Portnova, just 16, her hands raw from scrubbing, stirs the vat with a wooden ladle that feels like lead in her grip. You can almost taste the metallic tang in the air, feel the oppressive heat pressing against your skin as sweat beads on her forehead. Her dark hair is tied back under a soiled kerchief. Her eyes, sharp, unyielding, dart to the door where German officers laugh in the adjoining mess hall, their boots thumping like distant thunder. Zina's heart pounds, a rhythm she's learned to mask under a veil of subservience. She's no ordinary kitchen aide. She's a saboteur, infiltrated by the Young Avengers, a partisan group of Belarusian youth resisting the Nazi scourge. Months earlier, at 15, she left her grandmother's home in Vitebsk to join the underground, driven by the flames that consumed her world when the Germans invaded in 1941. Operation Barbarossa had torn through her homeland, leaving villages in ashes and families shattered. Zina's sister had been sent to a labor camp, her father, a suspected partisan, executed. Vengeance simmers in her veins like the soup she tends. The garrison commander, Hauptmann Kurt Werner, barks orders from the doorway, his iron cross glinting under the bare bulb. "Schnell, girl, the men are hungry after patrols." Zina nods meekly, her voice a whisper. "Ja, Herr Hauptmann." But inside, resolve hardens. In her apron pocket, concealed in a vial smuggled from partisan contacts, is white phosphorus, odorless, tasteless, deadly. The plan is simple, born of desperation. Poison the evening meal for the 100-plus officers and soldiers stationed here, disrupting the Nazi hold on Obel. As she ladles the soup, Zina's mind flashes to training in the forests, learning codes, handling explosives, the cold thrill of sabotage. The Young Avengers, led by figures like Fruza Zankova, had already blown bridges and derailed trains. Now it's her turn. She waits for the cook to step out for firewood, then uncorks the vial. The powder dissolves instantly, invisible in the broth. No one notices. Bowls are filled, trays carried out. Laughter swells in the hall as forks clink. Zina slips away to the back room, feigning illness. Minutes pass, then the first coughs, guttural retching echoes. Officers clutch throats, faces paling as the poison works, burning from within, organs failing. Chaos erupts, shouts for medics, bodies collapsing onto tables. Over 100 men writhe, their iron discipline crumbling like the regime they serve. But suspicion falls fast. The cook points to Zina, the new girl. Guards drag her before Werner, who, unaffected by chance, demands she prove her innocence. Taste the soup. Zina's pulse races. Refusal means death. She lifts a spoon to her lips, swallowing the tainted broth. Pain ignites immediately, but she stands firm. "See? It's fine." Released, she staggers to her quarters, vomiting in agony. The Partisans' antidote, milk and raw eggs, saves her, but barely. Dawn breaks with the garrison in ruins, bodies carted away. Zina vanishes into the woods, mission accomplished. Yet the Nazis hunt relentlessly. Has she escaped their grasp, or is this victory the prelude to her own end?
September 1943. Dawn in the dense forests outside Obel, Belarus. Frost clings to the pine needles, the air sharp with the bite of approaching winter. Zinaida Portnova, now 17 but looking younger in her exhaustion, crouches behind a fallen log, her breath visible in puffs as she scans the tree line. You can almost feel the damp chill soaking through her threadbare coat, hear the snap of twigs under partisan boots as her comrades, teenagers like her, armed with scavenged Mosin rifles and homemade grenades, whisper warnings. The poison attack succeeded beyond imagination. Over 100 Nazi officers and men dead or incapacitated, the garrison thrown into disarray. But victory tastes bitter. The Gestapo descends like wolves. SS Sturmbannführer Erich Müller arrives from Vitebsk, his black uniform pristine amid the chaos. He interrogates survivors, piecing together the timeline. The kitchen girl, Zina, who tasted the soup and lived. Suspicion crystallizes. Wanted posters plaster Obel's walls. Reward for the capture of the poisoner Zinaida Portnova, dead or alive. Her description circulates. Slight build, dark eyes, defiant stare. Zina flees deeper into the Partisans' domain, joining Komsomol unit Young Avengers fully now. Led by the fierce Fruza Zenkova, the group strikes back, ambushing convoys, cutting telephone lines. Zina excels, scouting enemy positions, distributing underground newspapers, even executing a collaborator with a hidden pistol. Her youth disarms suspicion. She passes checkpoints as a harmless village girl begging food. But the net tightens. Müller intensifies searches, burning villages suspected of harboring partisans. Families executed pour encourager les autres. Zina's grandmother's home is raided, the elderly woman interrogated brutally, but reveals nothing. Zina watches from hiding as smoke rises from her childhood village, rage fueling her resolve. Winter bites harder. In a snowbound bunker, Zina trains new recruits, mostly orphans like her, teaching sabotage techniques. One night, around a flickering stove, she recounts the poisoning. Eyes wide, they listen. "We fight with what we have," she says quietly. "Pots, poison, courage." The group swells, inspired by her legend. Yet betrayal lurks. A captured partisan breaks under torture, naming names. Raids multiply. In December, Zina's unit ambushes a German truck column near Leningrad Road. Grenades tossed, machine guns rattling. Success, but at cost. Comrades fall. Zina drags a wounded boy to safety, bullets whining past. The Gestapo closes in. Müller boasts in reports, the girl will be caught. Rewards increase, informers multiply in starving villages. Zina evades capture after capture, slipping through dragnets like smoke, but exhaustion mounts. One close call, cornered in a barn, she shoots her way out, killing a Feldgendarmerie sergeant. Blood on her hands now, literal and figurative. By early 1944, she's a priority target. Partisan leaders urge her to evacuate to Soviet lines, but she refuses. The fight is here. January 1944. A tip from an informer. Gestapo surrounds a safe house in Vitebsk Oblast. Zina, visiting for supplies, bolts into the snow. Shots ring out. She's hit, leg wound, but limps into the woods. Captured? Or does fate spare her once more? January 10th, 1944. A snowstorm howls through the frozen streets of Obol, Belarus, whipping flakes into blinding curtains that swallow sound and sight. Zinaida Portnova, limping from her leg wound, knocks weakly on the door of a safe house, an old mill on the town's edge. Her face is gaunt, cheeks hollowed by months on the run, but her eyes burn with the same fire. You can almost feel the biting cold numbing your fingers. Hear the creak of the door as an elderly contact, Aunt Katja, pulls her inside. "Child, you're burning with fever," the woman whispers, pressing a rag to Zina's forehead. The wound festers. Infection spreads. Rest is fleeting. Zina devours thin soup, whispering updates. Bridges blown, patrols ambushed. The Young Avengers need supplies, medicine, ammunition. She insists on carrying messages herself, despite protests. "I'm harder to suspect," she says with a faint smile. Youth, her greatest weapon. But the Gestapo's web is woven tight. Müller, obsessed with the poison girl, floods the region with agents. Informers, starving locals promised bread or threatened with death, watch every face. That night, as Zina sleeps fitfully, a neighbor spots her silhouette through the window, a whispered tip to the authorities. Dawn breaks gray and merciless. Boots crunch snow outside. "Rouse! Rouse!" Doors splinter. Zina bolts upright, grabbing her hidden Nagant revolver. Shots shatter the quiet. She fires twice, dropping one intruder, but numbers overwhelm. Rough hands seize her, twisting arms behind her back. Mueller himself arrives, his breath fogging in triumph. So the little viper. Zina spits blood, silent. Transferred to Polotsk prison, the interrogation begins. Gray concrete cells reek of despair and blood. Gestapo officer Hans Becker, known for breaking partisans, starts gently, offers food, promises leniency for names. Zina refuses. Then the real horror. Fists, boots, electric shocks. She endures days, weeks, teeth knocked loose, nails pulled, yet she gives nothing. Comrades' locations, plans, all locked behind clenched jaws. In moments alone, chained to a wall, Zina's mind drifts to simpler times, school laughter, grandmother's stories. Pain blurs reality. Hallucinations come, faces of poisoned Nazis mocking her, but resolve holds. For them, she thinks of fallen friends. Mueller grows frustrated. Enhanced methods, waterboarding, mock executions. Zina's body breaks, but spirit defiant. She attempts escape once, slipping cuffs with a smuggled pin, but recaptured in the yard, beaten unconscious. News filters to partisans. Zina captured. Rescue plans form, but prison too fortified. Fruza Zenkova weeps in the forest, vowing vengeance. February 1944. Trial in a sham court. Treason. Murder of German personnel. Zina, barely able to stand, stares down the judges. No plea. Sentence? Death. But the Nazis want more. Public example. Transferred to Vitebsk for execution, or one final interrogation breakthrough. The end approaches. Will she face the firing squad unbroken?
February 15, 1944. The gray dawn light filters through barred windows in the Gestapo prison at Vitebsk, casting long shadows across the stone floor slick with melted snow and blood. Zinaida Portnova, chained to a chair in the interrogation room, lifts her head defiantly as Mueller enters, his polished boots clicking like a metronome of doom. Her face is swollen, one eye nearly shut, lips split, but the fire in her gaze remains unquenched. You can almost feel the raw ache in her broken ribs, taste the copper tang of blood as she forces a smile. "Still nothing to say, little one?" Mueller sneers, slamming a file on the table. Photos of dead officers, the poisoned garrison. Zina spits weakly at his feet. Silence. Her final act of resistance. The trial was a farce. Held in secret, no defense, verdict predetermined. Guilty on all counts: sabotage, murder, terrorism. Sentence: execution by firing squad. But Mueller delays, hoping for a crack. One last session, threats against remaining family, promises of mercy. Zina laughs, a hoarse, broken sound. Your mercy is death anyway. Transferred to the prison yard under heavy guard, Zina walks with head high, despite chains. Snow crunches under her bare feet, guards shove her forward. Partisans whisper her name in the forests, legend growing even as life ebbs. Fruza plans a desperate rescue, but roads are watched, walls too high. In her cell the night before, Zina scratches a final message on the wall with a stolen nail: "Death to the fascists, avenge me." Sleep comes fitfully, dreams of home, of laughter before the war. Dawn of execution. The yard is cordoned, a dozen SS men with Mauser rifles. Zina refuses the blindfold. "I want to see your faces," she says clearly. Mueller, present to witness, nods. The command rings out. Shots crack. Zina slumps, but not before a final shout: "Victory will be ours." Her body falls into the snow, staining it red.
age 17. The Nazis bury her in an unmarked grave, hoping to erase her, but word spreads like wildfire through occupied Belarus. Young Avengers intensify attacks, bridges down, trains derailed, in her name. Soviet advances in 1944 unearth stories. Partisans confirm the tale. Post-war, Zinaida Portnova is hailed a hero of the Soviet Union, the youngest female recipient. Schools named after her, statues erected. Her defiance inspires generations. But in the quiet moments, one wonders, what drove a teenage girl to such extremes? Rage? Love for homeland? Or the simple refusal to bow? Her poison changed little strategically, one garrison crippled, but symbolically, it struck at the heart of the occupier, proving even the youngest could fight back. Zina's story fades in the West, overshadowed by larger battles, yet in the annals of resistance she stands eternal, a reminder that courage knows no age. The meal that killed 100 Nazis was just the beginning. Her true legacy? Unbreakable spirit in the face of evil.